it, that the love is real, that the shoe might fit. She might just be my everything and beyond space and time in the afterlife. Will she have my kids? Will she be my wife? She might just be my everything and beyond.
Happy hump day. Welcome back to Morning Coffee. My name is Rick Alexander, and this is a Morning Coffee podcast where for 10 or 15 minutes we talk about life and talk about a concept that you can apply to your own life and hopefully change it in some way. Come up with your own answers and just help figure your stuff out a little more. I know this life thing is not so straightforward, and so a lot of times just getting advice doesn't even feel straightforward. And sometimes we get really overwhelmed, especially in the professional development space. As we step out and we try to become more, it's like there's all of these mixed messages, and sometimes it's because somebody's message might be good for you at a certain level of growth, and then as you grow and learn more, maybe that message doesn't apply to you so much anymore. And so I certainly understand the nuances and the subtleties that can make it difficult to navigate this space. And so if you are listening, if you have been listening for a long time, first of all, thank you so much for taking this journey with me. And then second of all, I'll just say, that is the thing that pushes me to continue to look for new angles with this show, is because I know that really, I just need to help you find the right insight, the right question, and then the answers are yours, the direction is yours. It couldn't be anybody else's, right? And sometimes we get caught in these traps of really wanting other people to come rescue us, but at the end of the day, I think you're the person that can get you home, and so what you really need is just the right tools, the right mindset, the right perspective, the right habits, the right tricks, the right things to just think about so that you can find your own answers and create this life thing into whatever it is you want to be, because it's not that long. Today I want to talk a little bit about competition. I think at its best, I think competition it mimics life in a way, right? It gives us an arena in which we can test ourselves, especially right now where like everybody's a winner, and that's infecting Western culture in a lot of ways. And you see people that aren't happy with it. And I think there's a case for each side, right? Just like everything else, there's always a case for each side. But one of the things I think that people that aren't happy with it, one of the reasons they're not happy with everybody becoming a winner and us sort of erasing the idea of competition, is because it is a good arena to test yourself and learn about life. Like, you do learn how to be a good sport when you lose. You do learn how to test yourself in a tactical way, and how to read other humans and how to work as part of a team. And so through competition, there's actually quite a lot of life that's actually unveiled to you. You're actually learning a lot about life. I look back through my own childhood years. It's like I think I learned just as much from playing football and playing all these other sports like lacrosse and mountain bike racing, snowboarding, playing basketball, and just being really active. I think I learned more about life out there than I did anywhere else. But they're just like with everything else in life. There's not a one size fits all, and so there is a bit of a toxicity to somebody that takes on competition too far, right? And someone who doesn't understand when to dial it up and when to dial it back. And so you see that in the world today. One of the things that I coach other entrepreneurs and coaches on is the idea of trying to be competitive in your pricing, and how if you do that, you'll also end up in a race to the bottom, because you're looking at other people who are offering products that are comparable to you, and you could end up pricing yourself. Maybe let's say you go with a fair market price, whatever you think that price costs, and then you start having sales and things start coming up and you're trying to get your numbers up. So you're starting to run more and more sales and you're devaluing your product, and you've now entered into a competition in the wrong part of life, right? And so where you could benefit from competition is in providing value, right? You could try to provide far more value than other people. But then if you try to beat them in price, it's like now all of a sudden you're actually undervaluing yourself. And so now you found yourself in a race to the bottom. And so just like everything else with the human experience, what you find is that everything isn't this either or situation. Like everything is a both and, where, we can be both competitive and we can understand that if we work together, we're actually far more likely to get to a desired outcome, right? Because we're far greater together, which is why we saw our culture sort of divide up into tribes, because we realized, well, if I do this and you do that, together, by ourselves, we don't have to do everything. So together, we're going to get far further. So to get really where you want in life, you know that you can't do that on your own, right? Because it's like any sort of myth about being a self-made man or woman in today's age is actually just incorrect. It might feel good for the ego, but it's just impossible to really get there. And you can get so much further, again, if you had people. Then you run up against this paradox where you realize that if you are the strongest, fastest, or smartest person in the room, you don't want to be in that room for too long, because now you've lost your ability to grow and you're not able to. And so I think what I really wanted to do in this episode is just talk about the subtleties and the nuances to the human condition. And I want to talk about it today through competition, because it's like competition is something that we figured out we can enhance our human experience quite a bit, because we can build an arena, we can make some rules, just like life has certain rules to it, certain guiding principles, and then we can operate within the confines of that reality, and we can learn how to test ourselves in a very precise manner. That's like the beauty of what competition gives you. You also learn how to roll with the punches and how to, let's say, form the correct mindset amidst chaos. And again, it's just a controlled arena. But then you find if you take this reckless abandon for competition and you apply it to every single aspect of your life, you're most likely to actually probably just wind up alone, right? Because nobody wants to be with somebody that doesn't know how to lose or turns every single thing into a competition. And so the thing to understand is, as a human, you have the ability to step into different arenas and then step out of different arenas. You have the ability to collaborate with people and then to compete with people, and to know when to pick which is probably one of the most incredible human skills you could find as far as maximizing your human experience, right? Sort of maximizing your potential in some way. It's like, use competition to get out of it what you can, and then understand that it's limited in its ability to push you in some arenas. And so there's a time for other parts of your life. And you might ask yourself, where have I turned things into competition where they didn't actually have to be? And that could be hurting me, right? Like maybe you're competing with people you should be collaborating with, right? Like maybe you're acting like it's a zero-sum world where you have to win and someone else has to lose, and that's not actually true. But then perhaps the actual question for you is, maybe you're not actually getting the gains that you want in some area, whether that's in fitness, in a hobby, in something, in a professional endeavor in some way. And perhaps you actually need to stoke that, you need to light that candle of competition perhaps, and maybe you need to find a place where you're not the best at what you do, right? And you need to be humbled, because life requires that of us sometimes in order for us to get to that next level. It's like competition is really good at pushing you through a plateau and somewhere else, and then perhaps you get somewhere else and you find that you actually need to collaborate with people. I'm just saying this because I see a lot of people go through their life with about one tool in their bag, and they apply it to every single part of their life. And it's like, if you take a hammer to every single tool, you're going to smash up a lot of shit. You might get stuff put in the right place sometimes, but you're going to break things that don't need to be broken, and then you got to live with broken stuff. And so I want to just take today to point out some of the subtleties and the nuances to this human condition, and just give yourself something to sort of focus on, or to ask yourself if you're starting to feel like you're plateaued in some way, or vice versa. Maybe you're not plateaued, but maybe you just look around and it seems like you've treated everybody as if they're the competition, and so nobody wants to be around you. So, there's not a right answer for this stuff. It's like just figuring out what season are you in your current life, and then giving yourself what it is that you need and putting your focus in the right place. That's been my experience anyway. I know I for sure have the tendency to turn everything into a competition, and then sometimes when I get burned out of that, it's like, now I'm just like, nothing is a competition, right? And so it's like, understand what energy you need to lean into in your life in order to further your agenda and further your experience and deepen your experience. And then understand that the human experience is really an art in being able to step in and out of those arenas and hold space for whatever season you're in your life currently. Anyway, hope you guys have an amazing Wednesday. I love you. We'll talk tomorrow on Morning Coffee.
If it's hard, then I know it's working. These sleepless nights, I know they're worth it. 'Cause I got a dream, I got a purpose. I got a purpose, I got a purpose. I can't behave, I got options, I went too far. And I'm not done. One more time, one more time, one more time. I'm greedy and I'm never gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop. If it's free, it won't be worth it. And if it's easy, I don't deserve it. I want it to last, so I gotta earn it. I gotta earn it.